All right, so you send over some research on antioxidants and ADHD. It's pretty fascinating stuff. It seems like antioxidants might be a new frontier in ADHD treatment.
Yeah.
What got you curious about this?
Well, we always think of antioxidants as being good for like heart health or cancer prevention. But this research dives into their potential for brain health and specifically ADHD. It's really exciting stuff.
So for anyone listening who might not know, ADHD is the most common neurodevelopmental disorder. It affects millions of people worldwide,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it's a lifelong condition.
Yeah. And we still don't fully understand what causes it, which I think is what makes this research so compelling.
Yeah, totally. And the go-to treatments right now are medications like methylphenidate and atomoxetine.
Hmm.
They can be effective,
Yeah.
but they also come with a bunch of side effects. So it makes sense that people are looking for alternative therapies.
For sure, and that's where this research comes in. The review article really focuses on two areas that might be linked to ADHD: inflammation and oxidative stress. Have you ever heard of oxidative stress?
I've heard the term, but to be honest, I don't really know what it means.
Okay, so basically, our bodies are constantly making these unstable molecules. They're called free radicals. They're a natural byproduct of our metabolism, kind of like exhaust fumes from a car.
Okay, got it. So what do these free radicals do?
Well, in small amounts, they're not a big deal. Our bodies have a natural defense system to fight them off. Antioxidants, they kind of act like the body's cleanup crew.
So it's like this constant balancing act between the free radicals and the antioxidants.
Exactly. But when that balance gets thrown off, when there are too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants, that's when we get oxidative stress. And it turns out oxidative stress could be a major player in a lot of chronic diseases, potentially even ADHD.
So people with ADHD might have more free radicals.
That's one of the theories, yeah. Several studies that were mentioned in this review article, they found that there were increased markers of oxidative stress in children with ADHD.
Wow. So how does inflammation fit into all of this? Isn't that just when you get hurt or sick?
Well, yeah, that's the kind we're all familiar with. But inflammation can happen on a much smaller scale all over the body, even in the brain. And when there's inflammation in the brain, it can interfere with neurotransmitters, and that can disrupt how the brain normally functions.
So it's like a double whammy. You've got the free radicals causing damage,
Yeah.
and you've got the inflammation messing with the brain's signals. It's no wonder ADHD can be so hard to manage.
Yeah, and this research suggests that these two processes, oxidative stress and inflammation, might actually be connected, creating this kind of vicious cycle.
Okay, this is all making sense now. But if these free radicals and this inflammation are contributing to ADHD, what can we do about it? Is there any way to fight back?
That's the big question, and that's where antioxidants might be able to help. Remember the cleanup crews we were talking about? Well, antioxidants are those crews, and there might be ways that we can make them even stronger.
Okay, so if we boost those defenses, we might be able to manage ADHD symptoms. I'm interested to hear more. What kind of antioxidants are we talking about?
Well, the review article highlights a few in particular that look promising, and what's even more interesting is that they're found in common foods, stuff you probably already have in your kitchen.
Okay, you got me hooked. Tell me more about these antioxidant heroes.
So the first one is, it might surprise you, it's called sulforaphane,
Hmm.
or SFN, and it's found in broccoli sprouts.
Broccoli sprouts. Seriously, what's so special about them?
Well, SFN is a really potent activator of a protein called NRF2. You can think of NRF2 as like the master regulator of your body's antioxidant defenses, like the general of an army.
Okay, I like that analogy. So the SFN is like a drill sergeant then,
Yeah.
whipping the NRF2 into shape.
Exactly. When NRF2 is activated, it basically triggers this whole army of antioxidant enzymes. And they're like specialized soldiers. Each of them has a unique ability to neutralize these different free radicals.
So just by eating broccoli sprouts, we could be helping our body fight off those free radicals.
Yep. And it gets even more interesting. Sulforaphane also has anti-inflammatory properties, too.
Wow, it's multi-talented. How does it fight inflammation?
Well, it modulates a bunch of different pathways that are involved in inflammation. Think of them like communication channels. They activate the inflammatory responses. And sulforaphane basically helps to quiet those channels down.
So it's turning down the volume on the inflammation. That's really cool. So what about the other antioxidants in the research?
Another good one is N-acetylcysteine, or NSC. It's found in onions, and it acts as like a precursor to glutathione.
Glutathione. Didn't you say that was one of the most powerful antioxidants?
That's right. You can think of glutathione as like a frontline warrior. It directly fights off those free radicals. NSC just helps make sure there are plenty of those warriors around.
So NSC is like the supply chain.
Exactly. And NSC also can modulate glutamate levels in the brain.
Glutamate.
Yeah, it's a neurotransmitter. But if there's too much of it, it can actually damage brain cells. So NSC kind of keeps the glutamate in check.
Interesting. So NSC is a multitasker. It boosts glutathione and it regulates glutamate. What about the last one? You mentioned there was a superstar.
Oh, yeah. Omega-3 fatty acids, they're like the superstars of brain health. And we get them from fish oil.
Omega-3s. Yeah, I've heard of
Oh.
those. Aren't they good for your heart?
Yeah, they are. But they're also really important for brain health. They're essential parts of cell membranes, especially in the brain. They help keep those membranes strong and fluid, which is really important for your brain to function properly.
So they're like the architects of the brain.
Pretty much. And when it comes to antioxidants, omega-3s can actually scavenge some of those free radicals themselves. Plus, they've got those strong anti-inflammatory effects, too.
Fighting on all fronts. What does the research say about omega-3s and ADHD?
Well, there's some pretty encouraging findings. Several studies actually showed that taking omega-3 supplements, it led to improvements in ADHD symptoms, like attention and hyperactivity.
That's really promising. So we've got these three potential weapons against oxidative stress and inflammation. Sulforaphane from broccoli sprouts, NAC from onions, and omega-3s from fish oil. It's amazing to think that just adding these foods to our diet could help with brain health.
It is exciting, but it's important to remember that this research is still pretty new.
Of course. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. What other research needs to be done?
Well, we need more large-scale studies, longer-term studies to really back up these findings. And we need to figure out what the optimal dosages are. And we need to understand how these antioxidants might interact with the ADHD medications that are already out there.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of medication, one thing that really caught my eye in this research was the idea that some ADHD medications might actually be making oxidative stress worse. Doesn't that seem kind of counterproductive?
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs more research.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, right?
Uh-huh.
We're taking these medications to help manage ADHD, but they could be contributing to the problem.
It's a tough situation. This review article I was looking at, it says that some ADHD meds, especially stimulants like methylphenidate, they can actually increase dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain.
And those are the neurotransmitters that help
Yes.
with focus and attention, right? So wouldn't that be a good thing?
Well, yeah, you'd think so, but the problem is that both of those neurotransmitters, they can be oxidized. And when that happens, when they break down, they can actually make those harmful free radicals we were talking about.
So it's like two steps forward, one step back.
Exactly.
And that's where, I guess, antioxidants could come in.
Yeah, if those medications are increasing oxidative stress, then adding some antioxidants into the picture, it might be able to help reduce that damage.
Makes sense. This reminds me of something my friend was telling me about. She started taking omega-3s, and she said she noticed a huge difference in her mood and her mental clarity. And she doesn't even have ADHD.
That's a great example. It really shows how important antioxidants are for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. We're always hearing about how antioxidants are good for our bodies, for our hearts and our immune systems, but we don't really talk about how important they are for our brains.
I agree. It's definitely something we should talk about more.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest thing is we're starting to realize that inflammation and oxidative stress, they might be playing a role in ADHD.
And that antioxidants like sulforaphane, NAC, and omega-3s, they might be helpful in managing those issues and maybe even improving symptoms.
Right. But it's important to remember, this isn't a quick fix. These antioxidants are tools, and they should be used along with other types of therapy. And it should always be part of a personalized plan.
Absolutely. And anyone who's thinking about taking these antioxidants should talk to their doctor first.
Yeah, for sure. It's important to make sure there aren't any interactions with other medications.
Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. I've definitely learned a lot.
Me too.
We'll leave our listeners with this. If oxidative stress is something that's constantly happening in our cells, where else in the body could this be affecting us? And could boosting our antioxidants be good for our overall health? Think about that.
Until next time.